Under 3 hours. Six. This is the Absa Cape Epic. Hello, welcome. Thanks for clicking and joining us here. It's guilt-free today because it's a Saturday, no work, so you can watch this at your leisure and enjoy the Absa Cape Epic once more. Welcome to it. It's the penultimate stage, and it is in Wellington we are today to bring you 76 kilometers, 2,000 meters of climbing of real drama as this race unfolds. Christo Tour from the Absa Cape Epic organizations with me here. Christo, time trial yesterday, 39 Ks. I think it was really fantastic. I mean, there was good drama, but again, we saw Investec Songo Specialized men and women dominant again.
Very dominant performance by those two teams, and we saw on the men's side, Investec Songo Specialized actually catching Canada, which they started 3 minutes before them, and very dominant and stamping their authority on this race.
Not quite as long a day today, 76 Ks today, a lot of single track today. They're going to have a bit of fun out there.
Yeah, pretty much 40% of the route today will be single track, and that adds an extra dynamic into it where positioning is key. It's hard to pass, and you need to make sure that you don't drop off the front group, because once they're in the single track and they start going, you might find yourself chasing the whole way.
Right, so yesterday's time trial, 39 kilometers from here at Huguenot High and Primary School, and it was a tough old stage because they had to do a lot of climbing, 1,400 meters in that 39 Ks. Let's see how it all unfolded. The Absa Cape Epic is the cutting edge in mountain bike stage racing. In its 15th year, this sellout event has 1,300 riders in teams of 2 that will ride some of the most spectacular terrain mountain biking has to offer. Starting in Cape Town, the riders complete over 650 kilometers and climb 13,500 meters in 8 days of racing, before finishing at Val de Vie Estate in Paarl. Stage 5 is a race against the clock. For the first time in 7 years, the Absa Cape Epic has a time trial at 39 kilometers with 3 massive climbs. It is certainly not a rest day, but there is some very rewarding single track. Currently holding the yellow leaders' jerseys are Jaroslav Kolhavi and Howard Grotz from Team Investec Songo Specialized. They have just over 4 minutes on second place of Manuel Fumik and Henrik Avancini from Cannondale Factory Racing. Currently in third are Team Canyon Topik, Alban Lecata and Christian Heineck. Kulhavi and Grotz are off. They're leading the overall, but are yet to win a stage. Kulhavi, the Czech Express, gets out front and sets the pace. The US cross-country champion, Grotz, sticks to his wheel, and by the time they reach 7 peaks, they have a small lead at the first split. They come into their own on the downhill technical terrain known as Cool Runnings. It's a perfect reward for all the hard work put in. Investec Songo Specialized crossed the line in 1 hour, 44 minutes and 49 seconds to take their first win at the Absa Cape Epic. Second place goes to the Italian team of Trek Celis and Marco 2 with Fabian Ravensteiner and Michele Casagrande. They placed third on stage 1 but have been struggling to find form over the last 3 stages. Ravensteiner has completed the previous 2 Absa Cape Epics, 8th overall being his best place, but for Casagrande it's his first attempt. They crossed the finish line in Wellington just 33 seconds behind Investec Songo Specialized, pushing them from 9th to 7th in the overall. The marathon world champion Alban Lecata, partnered by Christian Heineck from Canyon Topik, placed third in the time trial. Lecata has entered the Cape Epic 9 times but has never won it. Heineck, on the other hand, won the first time he entered in 2014 with Robert Menon. They have a good team dynamic and work well together over the time trial, taking turns to set the pace. Cannondale Factory Racing did not have a good day and dropped from 2nd to 3rd in the overall. Canyon Topik are now just 4 seconds ahead of them. The women's category saw Investec Songo Specialized, Annika Langfell and Kate Courtney outshine their competitors yet again. The Danish-American pairing work well together, with Langfell driving the pace on the front on the flats. At the first split, they're a half a minute down, but in the second half of the course, they claw back vital seconds and finish in 2 hours, 8 minutes and 26 seconds. The men's podium sees a satisfied Canyon Topik in third, Trek Celis and Marco 2 in second, and Investec Songo Specialized winning and defending the yellow leaders' jerseys. The women's podium consists of Silverback KMC, Last and Strauss in third, Ascendus Health, Spitz and De Groot in second, and for the 6th time in this Cape Epic, Investec Songo Specialized win and retain the orange leaders' jerseys. So confirmation of how it all stands. That was after yesterday's stage. 33 seconds. Ravenstein and Casagrande having a grand day yesterday. Trek Salis and Marco blown hot and cold through this race. They've got two teams here, and they were third on stage one, but been drifting at the low ends of the top 10 for much of the week. Lecatra and Heineck getting stronger and stronger as the week goes, but I'm afraid the horse might have bolted for them. And then the very impressive Buff Scott pair. Platt and Hooper had a reasonable day out on trails they know very well. They base themselves in Wellington when they come out here. Kleinans and Bishop riding in support of Canyon Topik in the top 10. Bjerkes and Jessup had a very good day, the Pygo Eurosteel pair, and they are the Absa Africa jersey wearers in 11th, 13th place yesterday. In fact, they weren't the best of the South African teams or African teams because Bell and Beers were in 11th place. This is the confirmation of a very good ride by Spitz and de Groot, who finished 12 seconds down. They thought they were going to have their first stage when they won 4 stages last year, but it was another dominant ride from Langfell and Courtney. Second half, brilliant. Strassen last, and then Moschetti and Gallo, and then Lil and McDougall of South Africa. They are the Absa Africa jersey wearers, and that's the general classification. So 7 minutes and 16 seconds between Lecatra and Heineck. Now, that might seem like a lot over 2 days, but essentially that's 2 mechanicals, and it could all turn against them. Lecatra and Heineck do have a backup team. Kulhavengrot's not. Fumik and Avancini, 4 seconds, the gap to second place. That is the race, really. If you disregard Investec Songo Specialized, that's where it's going to be, the place on the podium. And then this is the remainder of the top 10. With Kleinans and Bishop in 11th place there in riding in support, and Bjerkes and Jessup 15th. Pygo Eurosteel still in the Absa Africa jersey leaders, so they have recovered after a difficult start to the week. So in the men's race, the women's race, it is really a dominant ride. The Langfall-Courtney combination have been superior throughout the week, haven't lost a stage, and haven't put a foot wrong, to be perfectly honest. They've been absolutely on song. It's amazing how quickly this combination, new combination, gelled, and they really have got it singing along quite sweetly. Strassen last, 35 minutes back, but Spitz and de Groot just 6 minutes behind them. The race is on there. Buchacha and Sanders in 4th place. The Virgin Active mix led by Gilmy and Anderson. Better day for the Merida Argentina pair. They won yesterday. They had big mechanicals 2 days ago. Brenchens and Azevedo lead the Dimension Data Masters, but just 2 minutes to the Bertolis and Focik. And Simon Boltz, well, they've been totally dominant in the Grand Masters. Bucher and Gerber in second, and former World Cup rugby winner Joel Stransky teaming up with Andrew McLean there in 3rd place for Cyclelab KTM. So that's how all the categories line up going into today's stage, the 76 kilometer stage. And the one thing we can tell you, after some pretty intense heat in the back end of the field yesterday in the time trial, went out up to 11 o'clock, and some of them spent 4 or 5 hours out there. Very, very hot indeed in the mountains here. Far cooler today, which I think they'll be very pleased with.
Yeah, very pleasant conditions we've got today, quite overcast, and I think the riders this is a lovely stage, like fantastic trails in the Belfast Pass area and great conditions.
Right, let's now hear from the riders, the main contenders. What happens at the start of the day is that the top 10 in the general classification and the men load from the front of the chute, so they get introduced and the roll call called up, and they ride up the chute to load on the front row. And just before then, they give us, or some of them give us, their thoughts on what they think might happen in the day.
Behind your expectations, it's tough to motivate yourself every morning, but yeah, the race is still on, and I think today we have a very nice stage. I know the course pretty well, and I'm looking forward to ride it. Yeah, sure. I mean, if I have the legs, we take it. But I'm still motivated because it would be nice to have another podium.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's not necessarily a comfortable lead because anything can happen in this race. So it's just about avoiding any issues and keeping an eye on Topik and the Cannondale boys. So yeah, as long as we can keep things steady and consistent, I think just it'll be good. Yeah.
It's just 76 Ks, but the stage will be, a little bit tougher because there is a lot of climbs and one long single trial. So yeah, we will see. We have to keep our position and keep keeping our race jerseys, and that's all important for today.
Yesterday was a bit of a slap for us, and today the course is really nice. A lot of trails on the way, and let's see. We're gonna try again, hit up the race, and let's see what we can get out of that.
I think we just have to kind of wait what happens, how the situation develops, because even though I think once we arrive there we will certainly recognize the trails, right now we don't really have the overall view of the route, so we will just have to wait.
Two last stages today. The three top teams are really close together. The leaders are a bit far ahead of us, a few minutes, but I mean that's epic. Everything can happen, but we're still fighting for second position. We're still motivated, and we give it a go today.
And you can bet they'll give it a go today. Look at this, the best riders in the world in the Absa Cape Epic. You know, we did have the world champion Ino Schurter in this field not long ago. He's not here, and yet the racing is still so animated and still so competitive. Fantastic to watch them fly off that start line. The starts leave some of those riders at the back breathless as they head off there. There are some non-starters today. Sadly, Martin Gluth is not riding. Raphael Gagne, his Canadian partner from OMX, Gagne's riding as a leopard on like the old Outcast, so he is riding. Unfortunately, Gluth is not in the field, which is quite disappointing. Look, this is the Absa Cape Epic. It's an untamed race, so they're riders who are going to be suffering.
Yeah, I think we are stage 6 today, so a lot of the riders, the toll of the week, the long stages we had early on, starting to take its toll on the riders.
Absolutely. You've got to manage every single facet of yourself and your bike and your teammate if you want to complete this race, and it just gets magnified even more so when you're racing at the sharp end. Now, what about the women? They set off in their own group 10 minutes after the elite men, and this is what some of the top women had to say ahead of today's stage.
Yeah, so we've got 2 more stages, today and tomorrow, and from what we've heard, today's going to be like a really fun stage. Apparently there's loads of really nice single track, and there's still a lot of climbing, but it's quite a different profile to the last big stage that we did. So there's kind of lots of little climbs and lots of single tracks. So yeah, we're just really looking forward to getting out there and getting stuck in.
I mean, we have done all the hard work till this point, so now it's okay to be a little bit more conservative and then have our minds on the big goal for this race.
Absolutely, yeah. No, today is definitely about being calm and collected and riding our own race, but it is a race, so we'll definitely be giving it our all out there and just trying to be conservative, but ride fast.
90 seconds.
It's a race, it is, as Kate Courtney said there, but interesting thoughts there from Annika Langveld. Might be a little bit more conservative because they are in the goal. That is tomorrow, riding into beautiful Val de Vie as the overall winners. You don't want to make any mistakes today and have a mechanical or worse than that, so they're going to be perhaps a little bit more conservative. Does that open the door for someone else to get a stage win today, Christo?
I do think so. I think it's a good opportunity for one of the teams that have not gotten something out of the race thus far. Kate Courtney and Annika Langveld being so dominant, winning all of the stages up until this point. So maybe one of the other teams can take the opportunity to attack, take a bit more risk through the single track, and then that might get them the stage win.
Right, on the start line there was a fairly sad figure of Mariska Strauss, Annie's last teammate. She, I'm afraid, had fallen foul of a stomach bug and was battling at the start. She is in the race, so she's hoping that things will keep all right for her and she'll be able to finish the stage. But if anyone is going to perhaps steal a stage today, it might well be Ascender's Health. Sabine Spitz and Robin de Groot have been getting better and better as the week has progressed.
Yeah, yesterday we saw them putting a great performance. They were just off the stage win, and they were actually the fastest through checkpoint 3 yesterday, and they just lost it towards the end.
So we'll look out for them today in the women's race here at the Absa Cape Epic. So we look forward to the stage unfolding. We'll bring you live pictures just as soon as we've got them. Now, quick quickly to look at the map today, because it's a very intriguing, perhaps more single track today than any other stage of the race so far.
Indeed, and the day starts off with a few ups and downs, but the real challenge of the day starts at the 40k mark, and that would be the platform for riders to attack. The significance of that climb is that it's quite rutted and momentum should be hard, but it leads you straight into a big single track section. So look for teams to try and get a gap there and get away into the single track section of Walvenpass, and that takes the guys through they need to contend with the cheese grater, the land of a technical terrain section of the day, and then towards the finish 10k's out, one last kick, and the run into the finish is very fast and very similar to what the guys had on stage 4, so they would know the finish very well.
So plenty of single trackers. Christo is saying getting into that single track first there is going to be critical for the races, and there's always a hustle and a bustle, but by then you suspect at that climb it would have separated quite a bit.
Yeah, the field will spread out up until that point, but maybe two teams can work together to get themselves off the front, and then it will be a chase for the pack behind.
Excuse me. It'll come back sooner or later. There we go, thank you very much. Now we're looking at the riders leaving the start today, and I mean, just already look at the line there. In the past, you know, we may have seen the sort of a fatter snake rolling out at a more gentler pace, not any longer.
I think especially with a day like today, where it's only just over 3 hour day, then the guys would take an opportunity to hit them from the start. You see one of the Centurion Vada guys pulling out of the race.
Yeah, this is sad news for Centurion Vada, because they do have a support team for Nicola Robach and Daniel Gesmeyer, but that unfortunate sight was of their backup team, so it wasn't those two, Robach or Gesmeyer. It was in fact Jadok Salzman who had stepped in to replace Jochen Kess as Marcus Kaufmann's partner. I'm afraid what he did there, Jadok Salzman, was get onto the start line, roll out of the start chute, which allows Marcus Kaufmann to be part of the race today. So should there be any mechanicals that might happen to Robach and Gesmeyer, then Kaufmann can legally help them. He's not an outcast yet. If he rides tomorrow, he will be, and he cannot contribute. And that scenario has played out before in a very significant fashion last year, in fact, on this very day, I think it was, because the man who was on the receiving end of that, Christoph Saasler, sitting alongside me. Christoph, welcome back. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you, and I'm looking forward to today's action.
Isn't it going to be? Just quickly on that, Howie Grotz was riding last year with Montoya, and then Montoya pulled out. How he started that day with Montoya, he pulled out Montoya on that day, and how he was able to help you guys, I believe.
Yes, but we had to double and triple check the rules,
yes.
And talking with the commissaires, what we are doing is right, and there's no time penalty involved. So Paulo, he just couldn't keep up with the front end. Howie was in super good shape. Obviously, he never got really tested, and then we had to talk with Paulo, and he was more than happy just roll over the start line, and Howie riding with us all the way over Grönlandberg, and it worked out. I had a flat tire. We could change wheel, but unfortunately we didn't make it to the front anymore.
Right. Now we're looking at the early part. This is earlier today. Christoph, I know you've been out there riding. Did you ride any of today?
Yes, I did. I didn't do the first half though, but from Green Mamba more or less all the way to the finish. And this morning I'm just coming back from Green Mamba, seeing the leaders powering over the climb. Very important climb, because after that there's hardly no more passing. It's forever ending. Forever single trail, and we talked with our riders last night, and I told them you have to ride in front over Green Mamba so you can control the race and you're not under pressure in the single trail.
Well, here is a little bit of a movement from Enrique Avancini, and tell you what, the battle for second place. I know that you guys are obviously not yet secure with 7 minutes and 16 seconds, but behind you there are 4 seconds between second and third. It's a real battle there.
Yes, you can see Cannondale is very good today. They're in charge of the race. They really want to get into second. Looks like Canning is struggling a bit. They were off on Green Mamba, just like 15 seconds, but that's a big indication. You know, you're not up to your level to ride with Cannondale.
Well, that's exactly what can happen on these trails, particularly when it's quite tight and tricky there, and you don't want to get yourselves into that sort of scenario. No real damage done there.
It's interesting to see how Rohrbach actually takes his time to get on the bike. You have to go as quick as possible, get your head together, because just passing 20 riders, as you can see here on these images, is quite a long way to try to get to the front again. So whenever you fall, you jump on your bike, especially in a situation like this.
Well, there we go. Chasing back now to catch up is Nicola Rohrbach, exactly what Christoph Sauser has been saying. The Epic Trippers camp not far from here. That's pretty decent accommodation. You staying there?
No, I don't. The first 3 nights I had a normal tent.
Yeah.
I could call it the Absa satellites or the Absa bubbles, and then now I'm a really nice house with a friend here in Wellington, and the whole family is here as well.
So here we go. Canyon, Cannondale, Investec Songo Specialized, the same suspects on the front as ever, and Yaroslav. Well, there's not much that's going to stop this train going towards victory here. Gesma coming up on the outside.
The two leaders looked completely in charge on the hardest climb of today at the Green Mamba. They took that little advantage, a little gap going into the single trail first, and they're definitely in charge.
This is well before then, though. This is just the early stages of the event. Christoph, we've talked about the intense pace of the event over the first few kilometers. Does that continue through the week? I mean, every day, or does it sort of slack off at any stage just for a period?
It looks like also this year is very similar to last year. You have to be ready from the start, and I haven't seen picture where the field is really like chilling together and talking. That really changed last year, and it looks like it goes into this year. It's obviously also depending on the GC. Today Cannondale just puts the hammer down from the beginning. They want to ride out Canyon of the second. Investec Songo Specialized, they don't have a big interest to lead much today. They just want to be in front where they have to be.
Now this is the women's group, and Sabine Spitz and Robin de Groot are in a similar position perhaps to Cannondale and Canyon, because there's a gap of 6 minutes between them and Annie Last and Mariska Strauss. Now Mariska is in there. She just caught a glimpse of her a little bit further back. That's Sam Saunders behind Kate Courtney, and Amy Beth McDougall behind Sam there. So there's a chance that the Ascendus Health pair, Robin de Groot and Sabine Spitz, might just put the hammer down. Here the Ironmen, Sebastian Kienle and Ben Hoffman, taking on the Absa Cape Epic and doing really well.
Yes, they do. They obviously have a very big engine. As far as I know, Kienle is Ironman Hawaii winner, world champion.
2014, yeah.
And so he definitely knows how to push the big gear and know how to air attack.
And Bart Brenchens just behind him there in the Dimension Data blue leaders jerseys and the Masters. So they're riding in some good company there are Kienle and Hoffman. Through the water point here, not too much stopping here, that's for sure. The first water point is dealt with comfortably. No need to stop here for our leading men.
Yeah, this is also new since 2 years. We never stopped at water point 1. Then where we could get the balls at water point 2, we were just racing into it. You've been actually thinking that scenario in your head, how to very quickly get your ball, and then water point 3 just quick top it up with a few cups to drink in your mouth, or top up the water bottle. But everything's super quick.
Now what we're seeing here is just how comfortable Howie Grotz looks on these climbs.
Yeah, he loves these climbs, especially where you can go out of the saddle. Howie If you've seen him in other races, wherever you can ride out of the saddle, he basically rides out of the saddle. So he loves this climb, where more the sandy, rockier climbs where you have to sit for ages in that saddle. His legs getting not so comfortable.
Look at the gap starting to open there on the climb. So Cannondale, Canyon and Investec will follow, that's for sure. Buff Scott in there, the Trek Celis and Marco boys are there as well, trying to chase back to that group up front.
Bulls won, they were very far off on the Mamba climb and also Waude. Our prediction is not right. They will come back the last 2 days. Maybe even right in top 3. It looks like Rohrbach is struggling quite a bit.
2 Trek Celis and Marco teams in there. Gesmeyer's there. Here's Buff Scott as well. 2 of their teams as well. Now there's a reason this is going a little bit slow here. Something might have occurred. The Bulls, the two of the 3, one of them had gone through a little bit earlier. Klaas and Bauer are through. There we go. Nice to see them coming around that corner in slightly slower motion. Snaking up this climb, slowly but surely making their way up these trails. So a lot of single track today for the riders to deal with.
Especially at the last end. It's almost too much, because it's nice to have a bit of open road, reset a bit, and looking forward to the next single trail section, and also for the race when you can't pass for I would guess more than an hour. You just have like those 10 meters to pass, but if the front guys just record a bit in the trail and then push on those passing sections, it's pretty much single file riding for such a long time.
Well, Centurion Fowler trying to close the gap there. Just caught a glimpse there of Nico Bell of NAD Pro as the wonderful skills of his world-class rider. Grotz following Cool Harvey through that little piece of blue gum single track and up onto these vineyard climbs, which are a hallmark of riding in Wellington, Paarl and Stellenbosch area. You're going to get these vineyards on the slopes of the mountains where they grow best and produce these world-class wines, and of course then you get the roads heading up them as well.
The characteristic ground here in Wellington is very baked, hard-packed soil, but on top you have a little layer of little stones, marbles, so it's quite slippery, and you have to brake carefully and also corner carefully.
7 teams I reckon we've got there. Obviously Cannondale Factory Racing, Investec Songo Specialized there, Canyon Toe Peaker there. Buff Scott may have 2 teams in there, I fancy, and look like 2 teams from Trek Celis and Marco. Yes, I can see 3 of their riders in there, and 1, that's Matt Beers at the back there with alongside the e-bike of Stefan Sam. Matt Beers riding for NAD Pro, and here come Centurion Vada trying to bridge across, and on their tail is Nico Bell trying to catch up to Matt Beers, who had a really wretched start of the week. In fact, there was some doubt as to whether he had started at all. He was not well on the day before the race, but he has got the pedigree and the talent to do really well in this event, given the best conditions, and he's showing it here. They did well yesterday. They finished 11th in the time trial, but they're an hour and 27 down on general classification as a result of their issues earlier in the week.
NAD Specialized doing very well today. Mid-race they're in reach of the leading group. It's nice to see them after really struggling hard, especially Matt with his infection, having a good second last day, and hopefully a good last day tomorrow.
Yeah, talented young rider is Matt Beers. He's young and tall and strong, and perhaps doesn't know his limits yet, so he's pushing on at marathon stage racing and marathon racing, which is great. This is Enrique Avancini on the front here. They are setting the pace, our Cannondale Factory Racing, because it's just 4 seconds the gap between them and second placed Canyon Toe Peak on the general classification.
I was expecting Canyon pushing the pace today, especially at the beginning where it's flatter. This weather also suits Alban much more. He doesn't like hot weather. Yesterday when I rode up Green Mamba, it was actually 39 on my Garmin, and today it's perfect race temperature.
Our helicopter pilot there, Ploffy, flying beautifully to bring you the images as Centurion Vara seem to have just managed to get themselves back up onto the tail end of this group. Nico Bell likewise on the back of it there to join in. Now this is Bulls 2, I think. Steve Jan, and they love this terrain. They know it very, very well. Simon Steve Jan, Tim Bomer, Carl Platt-Rooshuber, Martin Fry and Simon Sneller. They're the 6 Bulls riders in this race, and they all come and stay in and around Wellington for a long period in the summer months and the European winter to prepare for the Absa Cape Epic. The charge is on this race as we get towards the business end. Tomorrow is another big day, but today you feel if anyone wants to make a really big move, it has to happen today. 76 k's is not enough distance to chew into a 7-minute lead.
This is Green Mamba now, the hardest climb of the day. We talked about it already.
I saw someone there with a camera and wearing a helmet and a Songoton Info kit. Looked a bit like a 5-time winner of this event before.
I really try hard to be on camera this year on course, and that was a perfect spot.
You are sitting alongside us here. This is the Green Mamba climb, and look who's up ahead. These two, Kulharvi and Grotz. When it really gets down to it, when it matters most, they get themselves in the right spot.
Yeah, they knew exactly here they have to be going first into that single trail. It's just a few seconds to go until it flattens out, and as I mentioned, it's more than an hour more and less just trail. Interesting, leading into Welfan Pass, it's on the left side, it's hard surface baked, and coming out it's quite rocky and loose.
So Cannondale Factory Racing together, Canyon, a little bit of a gap opening up there between Lecatra and Heineck.
The two boys won't risk anything in these trails, and I'm almost sure Cannondale will come back with the others, but just to be in the lead, have no pressure for this hour and a half is very, very important, and you can save energy when you ride actually here in the front and you can control it.
The move here, isn't it? He looked over his shoulder there, just dug a little deeper there, Kulharvi. Grotz looks over his shoulder, and the racing's on here. The race leaders, only one stage this week, but they have been in great control of this race. They've been the omnipresent team. They've had their mechanicals, and yet they still lead this race by 7 kilometers. Avancini, Fumic chasing, Heineck on the front here, Lecata battling to get back there, and Pinto, and then Guerra. That's the lead group of 4 teams. Pinto and Guerra for Buff Scott MTB. Pinto, the Portuguese rider, the taller of the two. Guerra from Spain. And then our camera bike with Stefan Sam. You're on board with him right now, thanks to Live View and the wonderful skills of a man who's won this event 3 times. Fantastic images coming to you from earlier today as they hit this long section of single track that Christoph Sauser was talking about, and not too many opportunities to pass here. This is Kulharvi and Grotz.
I wonder if these are live images now, because I can't see earlier today.
This is still from earlier today, and we will be as soon as we get images live. This is live image. Okay. So there he is. You see he's on camera again, Christoph. He gets around here, Christoph. I mean, you must be delighted with the way the whole team are going, the women and the men. Everything's just falling into place.
Yeah, you can't expect that before Absa Cape Epic. We knew they're in good shape, they have the best team around and the best equipment. But yeah, it's 1.5 days to go, literally, and it's so important to be in the jersey, and every day you make a bit of time, you're feeling good, and then the moral is so important. That's probably the most important factor at the end of such a big race. And
winning a stage yesterday, then won a stage yet, just another sort of little tick. Say, don't ignore us. Just because we haven't won a stage, now we're right in there.
Yeah, it's a stage race. You know, you also want to win a stage. When I think Bulls 2 years ago, they won the overall most important, great victory. But when you never won a stage, it's not a cherry on top, basically.
Yeah. Well, that's a very popular spot around the race village here. The Woolworths Coffee Zone is very, very busy indeed. Talking about equipment, Christoph, I mean, they had a World Cup a few weeks, just over a week ago. Howie and in fact, all 4 of your riders were involved in that. I mean, big equipment changes between the World Cup and this event?
That's actually a very good question. There's a tire change to the grid tires, which have reinforced sidewalls, but the top of it, where the knobs are, is exactly the same as Krypton. So
same grip, just a reinforced sidewall.
Just reinforced sidewalls. And now we had actually lots of flat tires on top of the surface, which we have to look into it, also for the consumer. So I wonder if with the thicker sidewall, maybe the tire flexes a little bit different and maybe can hit that top surface a little bit more. Or sometimes it's just pure coincidence.
Yeah.
I mean, last year we rode the lighter tires. Yara had a sidewall cut, I had a pinch flat, and that was it. So 2 flat tires. This year 5. It's so hard to tell, and often flat tires, they never come alone. They come in a row, and then it's over for a long time. It could be the same. They ride this exactly the same setup next year and having no flat tires.
Some of the crew getting a chance to just celebrate their involvement in the Absa Cape Epic. These guys do a marvellous job around the race, putting tents up and various and looking after the catering in the dining hall. It's an incredible organisation, this. So the importance of the Absa Cape Epic to all the brands. I mean, obviously you were specialised, but everyone. This is a magnificent testing ground for all your equipment, and you can take what you've learned here and go back and analyse and then put into practice. Now we're going live and use it for the consumer.
Yes, the engineers are actually 2 of the engineers rode the Absa Cape Epic a few years back, 4 years back, and for them was a huge eye opener. And I would love to see even more engineers coming here, because that's probably the biggest learning curve for them.
Absolutely, and they're the guys who do all the science behind it. Now we are live, and this is Cannondale Factory Racing. We believe on the front of the race. Yet to be concerned. Are they in second place? Okay, this is second, so they are still chasing Investec Songo Specialized, but they're in their own race in many ways now. They are trying to put distance between themselves and Canyon. They may well be aware that Canyon perhaps aren't on the best day. Alban Lecata looked as though he was tailing off a bit on Christian Heineck, so they're seizing their opportunity here to put time into them.
I doubt they'll think much about the overall anymore to win the overall. You have it a little bit in your head, maybe there's a big mechanical or a crash, but somehow you also don't want to win like that on the last day. You might be interested in the Cannondale lefty fork. I rode that fork the first time ever, Olympics 2000 in Sydney. It was just such advanced fork back then. Especially when it came to durability, because it was a sealed system with needle bearings. So even in really bad weather over days, the characteristic of the fork does not change. The disadvantage is actually it's a quite high center of gravity. So when you climb, the bike definitely lifts, and also it's not because it's on the left side. The bike is not completely aligned straight, so if you would go back and see me winning a race coming over the finish line, the bike actually always leans into the right side, and my body makes a curve, so that's the disadvantage of that fork.
Okay, thanks very much. That great insight into what these 2 gentlemen are riding. Cannondale lefty forks on this. They have that the scalpel. Oh, there's the lead now. So there our lead is going up the top there.
That must be about, rough guess, 45 seconds. It's actually very surprising for me that they put so much time in these single trails in. Obviously, single trail is not just nice flowy and cruising, you also have to pedal, but without taking any risk that they can open this lead.
Well, brilliant performance there. Kulharvi again. Nothing has deterred him from the focus here. And, we focus a lot on Yaro because he's the power on the front. But he can't do it alone. He needs Howard there all the time. And he has just been so consistent as well.
Yes, Howie is such a good engine, basically. He's always there on his back wheel. As we mentioned, he struggles in the sand, but otherwise he doesn't have a major weakness as long as he can take the draft of Yaro in the flat.
So the word is that the gap is 120 there. Fumic and Avancini, sharing the bottle there. And the word is that they're 120 back, and the group behind them is a further 40 seconds, 2 minutes on the leaders. So there they go into yet more of this wonderful single track. It's wonderful single track, but it's hard work. These guys are absolutely putting everything out there.
Coming back to their fork, another disadvantage is taking the wheel out. So if they have a front flat tire, they have to first unscrew they first actually have to unscrew the caliper, and then they can unscrew the wheel, because just think they have to lift the wheel off on towards the right side, but there's the caliper holding the disc of the front wheel.
There's no question that this man at the back, Alban Lecarte, is in a world of pain at the moment. He's almost bent double as he was going into that climb. Christian Heineck at the front of this group, looking over his shoulder just to make sure that his partner is still with him. But he is suffering today, the world marathon champion. And that is a real characteristic of this event. Riders are right up one day, and the next day, for whatever reason, whether it's just fatigue, the culmination of 500 kilometers of racing, or a big effort on the time trial day, whatever it might be, or perhaps just feeling a little bit off color, you can get found out and exposed very, very seriously. Here's Kulharvi, and again, Grotz out of the saddle just to keep the wheel.
My experience at the Absa Cape Epic or stage races in general, when I had a super good day, winning by a good margin, you think, tomorrow will be the same again, legs gonna turn automatically. You may be in the hype the whole afternoon and you're not so tired, and then actually it hits you the next day. You're a bit too confident, maybe the body is not so in reco mode, you could squeeze yourself out that day so much, and you pay for the next day. Where when you finish a stage and you have to dig so deep, you're lying in your camper, you have
recovery
no idea.
Becomes absolutely vital.
Yes, and you're lying actually in the camper so tired, not knowing how can I pedal tomorrow. I think that's the body completely is in recovery mode and tries to basically nourish for the next day, and then often you have a very good day.
Yes.
Kate has actually the same feeling as well.
It's interesting because these are those characteristic gully type climbs that you deal with in Wellington, and this does absolutely no justice to how steep this is. It really is steep.
Yeah, you have to earn every meter at the Absa Cape Epic. It's a very good image here. Coming back to Yaros Watts, we talked about the A to B stage here. His average watts was 330, and yesterday he pushed a 340, and normalized power about 370 or 380. Can't exactly remember, but insane number actually after so many days of racing.
Well, Ariane was with us yesterday and showed us the reading from Anneka's bike, from her device, 227 normalized power on that A to B stage as well into Wellington. You've got two seriously powerful riders in this group in your team.
Yes, I mean if you would calculate that power to weight, or let's just say Annika maybe weighs 20% less than Yaro, and then I would think in conversion she would have pushed 260 or something in conversion to Yaro's weight.
So now, just put us in Alban Lecarte's place there. He's battling. He's having a tough day. His partner's pretty strong. He's got riders between. They've got a job to do today to try and defend their second place. What's going through his mind there? What's happening in his body?
It's not a nice feeling. Absolutely, for sure. He's completely out of comfort zone. I'm sure it's his legs. It's now comes down to muscle power.
Okay.
And I know Alban, he always battles that his legs seize up and he can't just like dig through that blockage basically in your legs. Probably rides quite low heart rate versus the beginning, but yeah, his limiter are the legs.
Well, they'd be hoping that maybe they come back, but just the force that the Koolhavi puts into these switchbacks. Now he's up the saddle, just drives up through the switchback, and on they go. They may be able to catch a glimpse if they were to look of the chasers. There he goes, just a look over his right shoulder. He makes it look so easy in some respects, Yaro, but he's also a very physical rider. He's very, he's a big man, as we know, and
yeah, you could almost say Yaro is the big, powerful bull in the front, and Yaro and Howard, the little bunny in the back.
Yes. He's that complete contrast. He's very light on the bike, and very light it seems, Howard, on his equipment.
Yes, also rides a nice RPM, and especially on this climb, it's very important that in the switchbacks that you actually keep the gear spinning. Also in the corners, as long as you're not afraid or you're not gonna touch the pedal in the corner, always keep pedaling in the corner, because whatever spins keeps you upright. For example, if you hold a wheel on the axle, if you don't spin it, it just falls down. If you spin it, actually you can keep the whole wheel on your fingers, spinning on the finger.
Here we go. That gap is just widening all the time, isn't it? Here's Enrique Avancini and Manuel Fumik. They're just not able to break the elastic back to the Trek Celis and Marco pair, and now we've seen the effects of Alban Lecarter's problems. Christian Heineck has had to roll back a little bit here and ensure that he doesn't get too far ahead of his partner, who really is battling. Buff Scott between the two Canyon Toe Peak men.
If Canyon's not going to lose too much here, it very likely that they will ride back on the open 10 kilometers.
Pinto and Guerra, the two men from Buff Scott. They look as though they might want to get past Christian Heineck there. And Trek Celis and Marco. Not sure that isn't the number one.
I believe it's number 2, Rabensteiner.
Rabensteiner and Casagrande, okay.
Casagrande.
There they go. And they've had a good week. But, well, a good start to the week when they were third on stage 1. They drifted out a little bit on the intermediate stages, but yesterday came back onto the podium to find themselves in second place yesterday. Great ride by them. Pinto,
they are about 2/3 into the race with one good size climb to go.
Portuguese rider behind Pinto, giving Guerra, the Spaniard, a little bit of a nudge up the climb. And now we're seeing the effects of the climb on Trek Celis and Marco. Casagrande and Rabensteiner are starting to take heat as well. This is what it's all about. The Absa Cape Epic does test you all the time, every single day. At some stage, the combinations, the teams are going to be put under immense pressure. To respond under that pressure is what it's all about. So we are riding with Stefan Sam.
It's nice, since we're in Wellington, there are no more mechanicals, no more flat tires. The surface is just way different than on the other side of the mountain range.
It's much more forgiving, this. It's a smoother terrain than on the far side. The Slunghoek Traverse was incredibly demanding. Look at these canyons created over the years by water. Fly a little bit of air there from Manuel Fumik. Gouged out of the mountainside, this clay-like surface. Trexelis and Marco, quick glance over the shoulder. Make sure your partner's safe and sound. Now Heineck. And now Licata. I think he's quite looking forward to getting on the open roads, and the last about 20 Ks or so, 15 Ks, 10 Ks in fact, will be on nice open roads, and that'll play into the hands of the powerhouse that is Alban Licata. But Christian Heineck looks as though his legs, the Czech man's legs, are going very, very well indeed. Sharp left at the bottom. Trexelis and Marco back together now. Two teams in the race, Damiano Ferraro and Samuele Porro were initially their designated number one team, but Casagrande and Ravenstein have gone really well this week. Again, another of those short, sharp bends that take you up into the vineyards. And alongside the canyon on the left and the vineyards on the right, it's Avancini and Fumik. The indication of how steep it is, just they're almost horizontal over those handlebars. It's incredibly tough. So on the general classification after the fifth stage, as we ride now with Canyon Topik, Licata, Heineck on the front. Just to re-emphasize how close it is on GC going into today's stage. 7 minutes and 15 seconds between Canyon Topik and the leaders Investec Songo Specialized, but behind them just 4 seconds separate this team in second place, beg your pardon, and Cannondale Factory Racing. That is what this is all about today in essence, because there's no likelihood of, unless there's a major mechanical, Kulharvi and Grotz losing a huge portion of that 7-minute lead. So the battle is here to get second place. Centurion Vada have drifted way off this lead group. Buff Scott are there. It's Guerra and Pinto. And they were 4 minutes behind fourth place Centurion Vada, and 10 minutes behind Cannondale Factory Racing. And then it was Trexelis Marco 2 lying in 7th place, 31 minutes down the leaders. They're in this lead group as well. They could well get into 6th place overall if they manage to finish 2.5 minutes ahead of Bulls 2, Simon Stevejohn and Tim Boma. So there's a reason behind Trexelis and Marco's animation today. They want to try and move up on the GC to 6th place. Kulharvi, busy all the time. Looks over. Grotz is with him, as he has been throughout the week on his wheel. Once or twice in those long stages in the Robertson-Worcester area, that how he did find the heat going up a little bit. He'd find himself just drifting back. He does, obviously, he can ride the long distances, but at the tempo that Diaro is consistently, the 4 days, he did start to take a little bit of strain there.
I don't think so. Howie looks very good, and he likes consistent tempo. Okay. That's how he actually also trains at home. He doesn't really like to train his weakness, and that's the punch, that's his sprints for the cross country. He loves just doing 4 times 8 minutes flat out, or go Strava hunting at home or anywhere in the world. He also 2 years ago, after the season, he made a crazy trip from his hometown Durango through a few states, ending up in San Diego, just with a touring bike, camping in the woods or in the desert. He's a super nature boy, and one of the most humble guys I know.
Well, you can see the effort being put in here by Canyon Topik to try and mitigate their losses. Almost losing it on that sketchy little bend before the bridge. Hammering along. So it's dramatic racing and fascinating from the ground on the bikes here. And now we're going to pop up to the helicopter. I think we're going to be able to hear from Neil Gardner, who's up in that helicopter. Neil, over to you.
Well, if there was any doubt as to the superiority of the yellow jersey wearers Jaroslav Kulharvi launched an attack on the Green Mamba, and Howard Grotz was right behind him. The other teams had all the opportunities to follow, but they just absolutely could not match that pace. Quickly, there was a 15-second gap. It became 20 seconds. It became 30. And the only teams that could really follow, even in chase and pursuit, Cannondale, Canyon Toe Peak, Trek Sella San Marco, and the Buff Scott guys. They're about a minute and a half back now with the leaders currently. Cannondale have been gapping the chasers. There's been a bit of a concertina effect, and very difficult to organize a real chase with the speed and the power that Kulharvi is putting down now. Credit to Howard Grotz. He is matching Kulharvi pedal stroke for pedal stroke. He hasn't put a foot wrong. Looks good for another stage win for Investec Songo Specialized, if they can keep it together. Not long to go, probably less than 10 minutes. We haven't seen kilometer markings yet. Back the way, the fragmented group is really in pieces. Canyon are dangling off the back, really struggling to match the pace of Cannondale. And we've also seen Avancini has been incredible today. I don't think Manuel Fumic has put his nose in the front, just been following, and Enrique Avancini really is the Kulharvi of that team today.
Following the race, they're on familiar territory now. Jaroslav Kulharvi, thanks to Neil Gardner, following the race from the air there. What a place to watch the race from. Now here we go. Trek Sella San Marco and Cannondale Factory Racing all together, and this is going to be the race for second. As I said, both have plenty to gain here. Cannondale Factory Racing, Fumic and Avancini, they want to reclaim second place overall, and Trek Sella San Marco could vault up into sixth place on general classification if they manage to get time on Steve John and Burma at Bulls 2. Well, they're not that far behind here actually.
No, they're not. I wonder how far Canyon is behind these four. I doubt so. They more than 15-20 seconds. It's a good 5 kilometers, I guess, to go to the finish line, and the Hinek and Alban can still close this if these guys are not going flat out.
Ravensteiner looking over his shoulder there. Would he want to have the Canyon boys there to try and help them out?
Not necessarily. So, I mean, if you come like this to the finish, you have a podium spot guaranteed, and yeah, that's already nice to know. If it's then second or third, it's already mentioned. It's a cool way for the adrenaline kicks in, but once you're over the line, it doesn't matter that much.
Yeah. Well, Michele Casagrande on the front there, driving this little group, and they are working to try and close down Investec Songo Specialized. This is Fabian Ravensteiner just ahead of Stefan Sam. A little foot out. It can be very, very greasy if you hit these corners at slightly the wrong angle and at high speed.
Just imagine Howie for 2/3 of the one stage. He couldn't take his foot out, and that's not a nice feeling.
Yeah, he had that issue with his frozen cleat, and he couldn't uncleat. Now this is Buff Scott and Canyon. Well, they're not going to look. It doesn't look like they're going to close the gap, but Buff Scott certainly are trying. They desperately like to find themselves back on the podium. Buff Scott, after their week, they've.
If the two front teams don't do tactics, I doubt it comes together, and I also doubt they'll do tactics because I believe Cannondale will go to the front right away and driving it.
So this is familiar ground. They rode this approach to Wellington on stage 4 when they came across from Worcester. Again, look over his shoulder from Casagrande to assess the damage. They are very close to Wellington now, very close to Huguenot schools. And Cannondale Factory Racing saying, well, you guys can do some of the work here because we're in third place here. All we need to do is to try and be 5 seconds. That's all they want. 5 seconds ahead of Canyon. They can put themselves in second place going into the grand finale stage. Remember, tomorrow coming to you live again from the beautiful Val de Vie estate, which for the second year will be hosting the finish on their lovely polo grounds. And it's a great place to come. If you're in the area, come down and see these great riders. You've been watching them all week. Come and meet them. Mountain bikers are incredibly friendly, and they'll be only too happy to interact and meet you all.
Today it's hardly no wind in it, so wind really doesn't play a factor today, especially now in coming to the finish in the open roads.
Perfect conditions, absolutely. 3 hours they've been riding. They started at 7 this morning, 10 o'clock now, and so it'll be just a shade over 3 hours. There we go. Grotz and Kulharvi in first place, just driving it on, relentless from the Czech rider, who is palpably the strongest man in this field. There's no doubt about that, but the second strongest man is the man on his wheel, Howard Grotz. Ridiculously consistent and solid all the way through.
Yes, the leader's jersey obviously helps with that too, and the experienced team also believe the equipment also plays in their favor. The one big difference from a specialized epic bike to the contender is the brain. So meaning they don't have to open and close the suspension all the time. It's by a fraction of a second. The suspension opens through the brain, which has a brain mass in it, and meaning also they don't have an extra cable, they don't have an extra lockout, so you can really focus on the terrain, and it's a bit different when you know the course exactly, you know when to lock on and off, where at stage races, you sometimes are in the wrong mode.
You can see the speed at 26 k's an hour as they drive on. This is the chase group now. Trek Celis and Marco Casagrande, and his partner Ravensteiner, and the sandwich, or the filling in the sandwich, is Manuel Fumik, number 6-1 there. You see the German champion wearing the German champion colours, and Enrique Avancini, not the Brazilian champion this cycle. He has been before.
Interestingly, they haven't changed position since probably 5, maybe even 10 minutes. I would suggest it would be better to share the lead here a little bit.
Absolutely, do some work here now. Heineck on the back of this little group that is Alban Lecarte, who clearly has had a really hard day today. Buff's got Pinto, the Portuguese rider, sitting on the front with his partner Guerra behind him.
But also here I haven't seen any change over the last 5 to 10 minutes. It looks like they're all happy in the position, or all suffering in the position, and I think I can't lead anymore.
Can't do anything
normally
more.
Hinek is super strong towards the end of stage chases, towards the end of a stage, and he also just sits in now.
And Grotz and Kulharvi have done another unbelievable ride today. Trouble free. And they have got about how many kilometers to get to the finish? About 10 minutes or so. And just assessing all the time. The communication between these riders is what it's all about, between the top teams, and it is just assessing how he's going on right the way through to the finish, just making sure that Howard Grotz is in the shape to finish what has been a very impressive job again. Second stage win approaching for Investec Songo Specialized. Behind them the chase is Trek Celis and Marco, and Canadell Factory Racing. They might bring it down to the sprint at the finish this lot for that second place on the podium. But just talking about the communication there, Christoph, between the two. I mean, Yarrow doesn't strike us as a huge conversationalist talker on the bike. How's he got the communication going with Howard in this race?
In general, there's so little communication actually between the teams. It's really just the necessary, especially since the last 2 years when the speed is so high. A cool story once with Yaron not talking at all on the bike, and we took a wrong turn when we battled out with Bulls, we're coming back, he goes to the front again, leads, and he suddenly sees the bulls in the front. I've seen them since a while. I knew they're in the front, and he just looks back to me. He says, "Bulls?" I said, "Yeah, there's the bulls," and he just said, "Fuck the F word," like I don't know how many times.
Oh dear. Okay. Well, that's he doesn't say much on the bike. Clearly, he does. Jaroslav Kulhavý on the bike, and clearly doesn't look. He just puts his head down. Now here we go. A little bit of a move from Fumik, and Trek saying, "Well, we're going to be in this say as well. We want to have a little say in how it's going to turn out in second place."
Yeah, they decided to communicate. Hey, let's start pulling through everybody, and that's what makes them faster. At the end, every second can count for that second place in GC overall.
Absolutely, only 4 seconds between them and Canyon Toe Peak, so every second, talk about it, is going to count down, come down to fractions of a second as Kulhavý pushes on with Grotz tucking in behind him. He's a small man in nature, so physically, so he can just tuck in nicely behind Kulhavý.
Yeah, luckily the Jaro as the big guy is better, especially on the flat, and how he's small, so he can really benefit of his slipstream, and it's luckily not the other way around.
Avancini has been the strong man today for Cannondale Factory Racing. He's really set the pace for his partner. Now he's sitting on the back because Trek, Celis and Marco are turning on. They're going to hit that tar road very shortly.
Avancini impressed a few times already at the Brazil ride, which I rate harder than the Absa Cape Epic in terms of the route. It can be so hot there, because it's so humid as well. So he has lots of experience in 8 days racing.
Well, pat on the back there from Jaroslav Kulhavý for his young American partner, Howard Grotz. Now he's having a chat.
I'm sure they congratulate each other, and little celebration talk.
And they certainly deserve it. Investec Songo Specialized, winners of the time trial yesterday, their first stage win of the Absa Cape Epic. They're in the yellow, and they're in the finish chute now as the winners of stage number 6 of the Absa Cape Epic. Here they come. On the right is Jaroslav Kulhavý and Howard Grotz, winners of stage 6 of the Absa Cape Epic. Another dominant performance. They put the power down when it mattered most on the day's toughest climb, and they made it stick all the way through to the finish. Fantastic ride. Well done to Investec Songo Specialized. Christoph is smiling alongside me here. Well done.
Yeah, thank you very much. May, as a spectator, you think they feel confident for tomorrow, but I promise you they're gonna have the most nervous wake up tomorrow morning, and in the race it will calm down, obviously.
It's that's when it as the race gets closer to the finish, the tension perhaps gets even greater than at any other stage, because you don't want to lose it. Here we go. This is the race for second place on the stage and second place on GC, because Cannondale Factory Racing in here, 4-second lead over Canyon Toe Peak, who are behind them. With them in this little dice are Trek, Celis and Marco, who've done a lot of the work coming into the finish here. Is it going to be handed to them? It's Trek, Celis and Marco who are going to drive for the line and take second place. Ravenstein and Casagrande second, Fumic and Avancini third. That's your top 3 on stage 6 at the Absa Cape Epic, and it is going to be a brilliant performance from this pair, Kulhavý and Grotz, if they're to keep this going all the way through to tomorrow. What a great ride by Investec Songo Specialized, and we will soon hear from them. We need to just get a microphone to them. In fact, I think we're all right. I think we're okay. So,
Mike, I think
there is.
Howie, congratulations! Another great victory, another stage win for you guys. A day to go. Tell us, how did it go out there?
Yeah, it was a pretty big group all the way up until kind of the main climb after the second feed zone, and we knew there was a lot of single track after that, so just getting into that first was a big priority, and then we had a bit of a gap so we could really just ride a really nice, comfortable pace, steady on the downhills, avoid any mechanicals, and then we're able to really click together on the climbs and pull some time there.
Jaro, if we can have a quick word with you. It's almost there. Another stage to go. The grand finale tomorrow, and I know you don't like to talk about the possibility of a stage win there. What's the plan ahead of tomorrow? Are you going to race it full gas, or are you going to try and keep it safe and protect the overall lead?
I know we have to be very careful tomorrow, and we have pretty good gap, so yeah, no crash, no technicals, and that's all for tomorrow. I mean, today was a pretty good day for us, a lot of fun, a lot of nice single trails. We are happy.
Congratulations, good one.
Find Manuel Fumik and Henrik Evans Senior. They've emptied their tanks today as well, the German and the Brazilian. Let's hear for them.
Guys, great finish, big sprint finish there. Manny, just tell us about it today. How did it go?
It was a pretty good day for us. We knew that profile is going to suit us, and we put pressure straight away from beginning on, early doors, and in the end it worked out. We're leading quite a lot, more or less the whole stage, and like I said, try to press on all the time and put the other guys into the hurt box. At one point at the Black Mamba, the specialized Songo guys, they attacked us. We didn't have much left in that moment, so they kind of got that gap, and then from there on it was more or less fighting till the end. We saw a few others like the Centurion guys. They were dropping, and this is our main competition in the GC. So we pressed on, and in the end I'm pretty happy with the stage. We proved once again that for cross-country riders we're good race stage racers. Yeah.
Henrik, from your side, obviously disappointed to just get pipped on the sprint finish there, but tomorrow it's a big stage. It's a stage that a lot of teams want to win. It should suit you guys. You've got enough gas in the legs to hopefully target a stage win tomorrow?
Actually, today we rode for the GC. We had two goals. The first one was get clear of Centurion and also get back the second place from Canyon. And that was the main goal. That's why we put the pressure from 20Ks into the stage. We were always on the front, always charging. Specialized, they have like a good advantage now, so they could just control and wait for the very best moment to make the move, and that's what they did, and they just did well. And I mean, we finished third, but we just worked together with track guys, and they finished second and we third. It's good enough.
Thanks, Henrik.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you heard there from Henrik what it was about today for them, just to ensure that they cleared themselves out of Robach and Gesma's distance, and then also try and make ground on Canyon. Here we go, Casagrande and Ravensteiner.
Right, standing with Trek Celis and Marco. Guys, you've got to be happy. Sprint finish. And pipping out the Cannondale Factory Racing boys at the end. Tell us about it.
Yeah, beautiful sprint for the second position, but we won to second place, and Cannondale they won the general classification, and we are go all together, so good for this second position. Yeah, Roslav Gulavi and Abergross are too strong for us.
We've asked all the teams the same question. Tomorrow, the grand finale into Val de Vie. It is a stage that all the teams want to win. Your strategies for tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow another one, full gas. Last year I can go on the podium, second place behind the Scott guys, and we will try to do our best also tomorrow.
Good luck, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So there we go, Fabian Ravensteiner and Michele Casagrande from Trek Celis and Marco. Different motives there, we heard. They were interested in getting second place on the stage. They knew Cannondale were there for GC, as we heard from Henrik Evans Senior. And these are all little races within a race that influence the way it all unfolds on the day.
Now we also know what they were talking basically on those last few kilometers. They always said, hey, we're happy with third. Yeah. Please keep on leading also for us.
Yep, there we go. They were the Cannondale Factory Racing. Just happy, as you heard them say, Rohrbach and Gesma for Centurion Vada were close to them. They're about 3 minutes back on GC, but of course Canyon Topek are the team that were closest to them. Just 4 seconds was the gap there. Here it is. So what a moment. Great moment winning a stage, Christophe, eh?
Yes, especially on the second last day. It's one more to go. Amazing feeling, and also for the whole team who worked entirely and not getting enough sleep. But it's also for other teams, to think of, they don't get that success, and they work actually exactly the same amount of hours.
This was a little sprint for 4th place today, and it was Pinto and his partner Guerra taking 4th, and you could see that Albin and Carter, just one of those days. You have them as racers, don't you, where it just doesn't fire?
Yes, it would be very interesting to know how far were they off. I don't think so far. So I do think we have tomorrow quite a big race going on for 2nd place, and then obviously for the stage win.
Yeah, it looks like it is 21 seconds between Cannondale Factory Racing in 2nd and Canyon Topek in 3rd, and between the first 2 teams now, the lead now 8 minutes and 26 seconds. All goes according to plan tomorrow. Investec Songo Specialized on the top step tomorrow. I mean, yes, anything can happen, as you always say in these things, but really
100%. If everything goes normal, they win it for sure.
Yeah.
2nd place is completely up in there. If it's more or less the same sand as last year into Val de Vie, it can be very, very quickly 20 seconds over the last 2 kilometers.
Quite sandy there, isn't it?
It was very sandy, with actually even also some rocks in it, so you had to look for the least sand, but also you had to look out how can I get around those rocks in the sand.
So it's likely that Cannondale Factory Racing may approach it in a similar way. Canyon Topek will want to be aggressive tomorrow. What will Investec Songo, what will Yaro and Howie be doing tomorrow?
Yeah, to be just coming back to Cannondale and Canyon to ride aggressive. It's often now 7 days into racing, what you can do. It's not just like we want to go aggressive tomorrow. If you can't, you can't. That's it. Our boys, they will race like any other day. Just try to mark in the front and be safe. But then obviously if they're with other teams together, enjoying the last few kilometers.
Yeah, that'll be a great celebration for Investec Songo Specialized. And it could well be a double celebration, and it's been a remarkable month for the entire Specialized team, with Sam Gaze and Annika Langfeld winning the Epic World Cup in Stellenbosch, the first round of the World Cup, and then of course Sam getting up to finish 2nd at the Cape Town Cycle Tour on the road, just for fun the next day, showing he's got the form. And now the Absa Cape Epic is turning into a tour de force for the Specialized team, Investec Songo Specialized. In fact, they had 12 riders. You were one of those at that Cape Town Cycle Tour, trying to do the job for Sam. And you lost a few riders towards the end there. It could have been a win for him.
No, there was nobody of us could have helped Sam in the sprint. We were more fun weekend warriors. Sam just had to get onto the Nolan train. Actually, he tried to box out some of his teammates that he get in, but he got boxed out again. But they do it on a friendly way, and they are completely fine afterwards.
That is a completely different animal to this event, to all the other events Sam will race during the year. And as Christoph suggested a couple of days ago, Sam Gaze and Simon Andreasen perhaps for the Absa Cape Epic next year. As my word, that would be a very impressive team as riding for support for Howie and Yaro.
Yeah, you'd have in that team basically 5 world champion title by itself. Okay, they're basically baby world champions, but still monster talent in one package, in one team.
Listen, there's nothing to suggest that this time next year you might have Sam wearing the real world champions jersey as well.
That is 100% possible on a course he really likes. But we can also be in a very, very comfortable position when maybe Howie doesn't have a good lead up, he maybe gets sick, then Sam could jump into Howie's position, Howie become a backup. But we wouldn't as Howie as a defending champion, he would not be second guy behind Sam, and Sam needs to first basically prove that he can race over 8 days and actually earn that spot.
And we know we've had chats about that as well before, how Sam has had issues racing deep into a stage race, and there's only shorter stage races he's found it a little testing, but he'll be a year older in a year's time, so all that. We are throwing this a long way forward, of course, because this race is not over yet. We have a day to go. We have to get to Val de Vie. And yes, we said earlier, all things going perfectly well for Investec Songo Specialized. It is no question that Jaroslav Kulhave and Howard Grotz will win this year's race, and that Annika Langfall and her partner Kate Courtney will win this race. But there isn't a day goes by where we don't say anything can happen in the Absa Cape Epic. The last day in the past has been a fairly nothing is gentle in the Absa Cape Epic, but a forgiving day really. Tomorrow is a bit more challenging than previous years.
It is challenging, but that's actually better for a leaders team because they're the strongest, so maybe the speed is not too furious, so you can control it a bit better, so you're not hammering over too fast through the corners and over the rocks. For me in the leaders jersey, I would have like the 140 kilometer stage, and everything is a bit more settled and draws on faster towards the end of the race. If it's only 30 k's and everybody tries to go hammering flat out, that's more difficult.
Just Christoph, talk about this year's race and the route plan that they've got here. Personally, I feel they've found a sweet spot here. Prologue, 4 long hard days, time trial, 2 slightly shorter days. Do you think it's worked well? Obviously, it worked well for Investec Songo Specialized, but generally, is that the format worked well?
We could race the same route next year with the same teams. Maybe it would have a complete different standing. So it's not so much about the route. But what I would like to see that the first stage is actually something shorter and not like one of the hardest days. So things stay compact as long as possible.
This year's first day wasn't quite as hard as we've seen in previous years, though. Do you agree?
I do think so. I haven't seen the terrain. The altitude was quite normal. Last year it was for sure the King stage, also because of the temperature was absolutely crazy, especially after 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock already. Also, just coming maybe back to Scott, I mean they had exactly the same team setup. None of them is into the race. So sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. It's just so unpredictable.
That's the beauty of the Absa Cape Epic. It is totally unpredictable. And these are teams coming in now into the finish line here at the Absa Cape Epic. 7 o'clock start. Nice early finish for a lot of these teams there, so that'll be a delight. And yesterday, as I said earlier, 40 to 39 degrees, as Christoph was telling us, going up some of the climbs yesterday later in the day. And a lot of the back of the field had to deal with that those conditions out there. The heat was really, really debilitating. So they will be delighted with today's conditions. Absolutely delighted with the way it's panned out. As Mbuko Momsen, Marco Hubert and his partner Dylan Rebello roll across the finish line now. They've had a good solid week. 2 young men, still a long way to go in their careers, but nice to see 2 young South Africans riding a South African brand, doing a nice job for their team in coming across the finish line. Not exactly sure where they finished today, but they've been racing in the Absa Africa jersey competition for much of the stage. We did see Matt Beers and Nico Bell going well earlier on in that images from earlier in the day. They would have lost a bit of time obviously to the leaders, but certainly there and thereabouts. What we're going to do is to try and track back and find our leading women's team. So therein was an interesting comment we heard earlier in the day. Annika Langfeld said that we might be a little bit more conservative. In a pre-race interview, she might be a little bit more conservative. They've got 35 minutes in hand, and this is second place on the route, as we've been told now, Sabine Spitz and Robin de Groot, which tells us, I would guess, that Investec Songo Specialized are up the road once again, Langfell and Courtney.
our two girls, they had exactly the same tactics as the boys, that leading over Green Mamba and played safe in the very, very long single track section afterwards. And it looks like we played well, but you also need the strength for it.
Absolutely, you've got to have the legs. It's easy to talk about plans that are ahead of a stage, but they have to be executed at some stage. And now Robin de Groot just goes up, and again the difficulty of this climb cannot be overemphasized. Look how they are bent double as they try and negotiate their way up this climb. Single track beckons up ahead. Just want to say thanks very much to Christoph, who's going about to leave us. Thanks very much. We love having you insight and love having you here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to tomorrow again, and even live on national or on Supersport. Gonna be amazing to see the biggest stage to win. Who's gonna win it?
You'll be very welcome. Nice to have Christoph Saz here, 5-time winner, one of the most decorated mountain bikers of all time, and he says goodbye to us here. Thanks for joining us as he goes to his camp, into the Investec Songo Specialized Camp, who will be very, very happy with the way things have progressed today. There's no question about it. In fact, happy with the way it's progressed all week. And that is Robin de Groot on the front with Sabine Spitz chasing. This is second place in the women's race at the moment on these beautiful trails around Wellington. As slick as you like, as smooth a changeover as you wish could see. I've been joined by Jenny Stenhoff. Hello, Jenny.
Hi, nice to be back.
Nice to have you back with us. Jenny out of the race, of course, many of you will know, due to a hamstring injury and surgery. She had ahead of the race, defending champion with Esther Sus. Sadly, Esther's race defence ended quite early on with Angelica Tazrita falling and hurting her shoulder on stage 1. So Jenny, thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming out here. You've had a week to sort of get used to the fact that you're not riding. You've had longer than that, but you've been keeping an eye on the race?
Yeah, definitely. It's been very interesting to follow it, and in a way it's nice. I mean, you can't do anything about the injury now, so just accept it and follow. But and it's interesting to see it from the outside also, and it's been exciting. And I see it's exciting about the second place now also in the ladies.
Absolutely, yeah, because there's not much between those two. But let's just flick back to the podium presentation. Do I detect a little rain out there? My word, that is a good sign. Some rain starting to come gently down over Huguenot schools here as we go to the podium presentation. Stage number 6, up onto the third step of the podium. Enrique Avancini on the right and Manuel Fumik, the German champion, and finishing third today. They were the aggressors early on. As you heard, they tried to make it hard to get away from Robach and his partner Gesmeyer, and put pressure on Canyon, and they did just that. Ultimately, the powerhouse of Kulhavi and Grotz got away on Green Mamba, and then into the Cheese Grate and the single track. It was dominance from them all the way through. Trek Celis and Marco, their best result of the week. Casagrande and Ravensteiner. Ravensteiner on the left, Casagrande on the right, the two Italians, and second place for them. And winners of the stage for the second day in a row, Kulhavi and Grotz of Trek, beg your pardon, of Investec Songo Specialized. They are the stage winners. Yarrow has got the biggest smile we've seen him all week. That's all it takes, a kiss on the cheek. Well done, Yarrow. And Howie Grotz, great job by the young American in his second Absa Cape Epic. Casagrande riding his first. Ravenstein has been here twice before. So that's how the men's podium looks for this stage. And we'll have shortly the presentation of the yellow jerseys. Just to remind you that the yellow jerseys on the shoulders of Kulhavi and Grotz by 8 minutes and 26 seconds from Fumik and Avancini. 21 seconds further back is Albert Lecata and Christian Heineck of Canyon Toe Peak. Then it's Buff Scott MTB, 18 minutes behind the leaders. And the battle behind them, because Centurion Vauda have dropped further back now. It's just a minute and 28 seconds between Buff Scott and Centurion Vauda. quite a big gap to Fabian Ravensteiner and of Trek Celis and Marco. So they did indeed move up a position from 7th to 6th. But there's another little battle. They are 4 minutes ahead, in fact less than 4 minutes ahead of Simon Stepjohn and Tim Boma. So nice little battles, races within a race going on. Up onto the top step of the podium to collect the yellow jerseys. Yaroslav Kulhavi and Howard Grotz. We know they're fit because they've worn them quite a lot during this week. Mind you, we had Rohrbach and Gesmeyer on the first day. We had the Cannondale Factory Racing for the next couple of days, and then in Robertson it was this team on stage 2 who wrenched them away from Cannondale Factory Racing, and are now firmly ensconced as the favourites to pick up another title here for Kulhavi. It would be his third, and Howard Grotz in his second race is looking to win the Absa Cape Epic for the first time. So there we go, that's the presentation, and now we can go out to the race and catch up with Kate Courtney and Annika Langfeld, who have been utterly dominant, haven't they, Jenny?
Yeah, Kate just impressed all of us, being so young and doing so well for a whole week and just winning day by day. It's absolutely amazing what she's been doing, and obviously, like she's been saying, learning from the best. It's the best way to start the career as a stage racer, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like with Howard Grotz as well. These two, the similarities between the two combinations are very striking.
Yeah, I think in the camp also, in the specialized camp, it will be, I mean, the one team is doing so well, and it will affect the other team also. They see that one team can do it, and they also believe that they can do it. It's usually like that in bigger teams.
So just to fill you in, at Water Point 4, which is around 60 kilometers, it was Annika and Kate who had nearly 4 minutes, just under 4 minutes, 3.5 minutes on Sabine and Robin. And they in turn were ahead of Marga Moschetti and Raisa Gulau. Now that tells you that I'm afraid that for Mariska Strauss and Annie Last, today is going to be a brutally hard day. Mariska went into the day with a stomach ailment, and they are at the moment lying in 6th place on the stage, 14 minutes behind the leaders, and crucially behind Ascendus Health. They are over 10 minutes, so it looks like they're going to lose their second place today, which is very sad. Careful, the rider coming around the corner there. Don't get in the way of Annika and Kate.
Yeah, maybe Mariska has gotten that tummy bug that seems to be going around the camp this whole week, and yeah, it's very sad for them to lose out on something like that. But we'll see after what has happened.
Well, on the start line, she was looking very grim indeed. She actually said to me she didn't even put her bibs up because she knew she was going to be spending time off the bike. Yeah, it's going to be that bad. Yeah, so not great at all. This is second place, Spitz and Robin de Groot. As I said, the gap at 60 Ks was close on 4 minutes. So, well, they've moved themselves up now second on this stage, and in all likelihood are going to be moving up onto the second step of the overall podium. It's never a nice way to move up on the general classification or any standings, but this is what it's all part of what makes this race such a challenge.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just the riding, it's everything. You have to keep the material in one piece and yourself in one piece and stay healthy and everything, and then a tiny little bit of luck also to that everything will work perfectly for a whole week.
Yeah, the luck applies across all spheres of the event, not just mechanical, it's physical, it's who you might come into contact with who might be just carrying a little bit of a bug and you don't know, and suddenly you picked it up. So it's just one of those things. It's what makes this one of the toughest mountain bike stage races in the world. And look at how that gradient just kicks up.
It's very steep there. As we've said before, you can't really see on TV how steep it really is. You have to actually be out on course to understand how steep it is.
Langval and Courtney of Investec Songo Specialized, and they are in many ways this week have been riding their own race. They have ridden with the lead group for a little while, and then at the key moments just turned up the heat and managed to get away. I say they make it look easy. That's because they are high quality riders who put in the preparation.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy. I just said to someone before here that a lot of people say that the Cape Epic, it's so long, you can't really go max the whole time. You go like 80% or something, or 85, but it's actually not true. You go 100% the whole time. It's just that you go a bit slower because your body can't go so fast, but you do go as hard as you can at every single moment.
Your effort is the same, your speed might decrease as the week goes on just because of fatigue and wear and tear.
Exactly.
Just to put us into your training ahead of this race and up to the disaster that happened to you. What were the last 3 months about for you? What were you putting in?
Yeah, the last 3 months before the Epic, it's all about the Epic. Everything you do is about the Epic. That's how big this race is. And it's long hours in the saddle, and you do your intervals and you plan your training so that you're going to peak exactly for this race.
How many hours are you putting in a week there?
It varies a lot between, like if you are in the time when you're supposed to do a lot of intervals, or if you do a lot of hours. And I haven't really checked much.
No, the numbers,
the numbers doesn't really matter so much to me, but say around 20 hours a week on average, maybe. I'm not training as much as a lot of other people. I think I try to do more quality. But like everything around the training also, everything has to do with the Epic and building up for it. And yeah.
And your intervals, what sort of intervals were you doing?
That also varies if it is low cadence or high cadence, and the minutes, if you do 4 minutes or 10 minutes, or if it is a minute on, a minute off, those kind of things. So it varies a lot what kind of training you do.
And it's extraordinary. I always find it very interesting how, you and Esther obviously don't live in the same country, Kate and Annika, they don't ride together, and yet you follow your own programs and you pitch up at an event like this, and it all seems to work.
Yeah, it is quite fascinating actually. Esther and I think we rode maybe once or twice before that first Tankwa that we did together, and from day one it just worked perfectly. And we don't really talk when we race. We don't need to talk. We just, I don't know how it works, but it works. So it's pretty amazing actually to find a partner that it works so well with.
Yeah, it's interesting. Christoph was saying the same. The communication on the bike, even between partners who don't know each other that well, is you obviously this is what you do. This is your life. So you know each other. You know what to do on the bike. They're just the odd comment every now and again, or perhaps a nod or a shake of the head if necessary.
Yeah, exactly. And like we said last year, we had one task to do. We both had the same goal, and we didn't really need to discuss that. So and the whole team around us last year from Team Merendal CBC, everyone knew exactly what everyone had to do. So it was never any discussions about anything really. It just floated sort of.
Well, let's look pretty much the same here. Annika has been the dominant rider only because she's been riding in the front and the powerhouse in this combination, and Kate has just followed wheel beautifully. There were times early on in those longer stages, that you got the feeling that Kate might be being put under just a little bit of pressure, but Annika managed that well, and Kate responded extremely well.
Yeah, that's exactly why Annika is such a good team partner, because she will see that Kate is struggling a little bit, and immediately she will back off and let her get onto the wheel again, and she wouldn't hurt her partner, she just helps her partner.
The 2 H's, it's the help that matters. So this is, as I said, all familiar territory. They rode in on these trails, come in on stage 4 as well, and so they'll know the route to the finish here. We talked about the hours and that preparation. I know we chatted about your technical preparation as well. And that is something, I mean, obviously getting on the bike and doing the hours you can manage, but you have to keep practicing. You have to keep sharp at the technical skills, don't you? And you were doing things that for a lot of riders think, oh, you don't need to practice these things, but you were doing the most intricate little skills or simple little skills that will make a big difference.
Yeah, definitely. Skills, it is very important, and it's something that you lose very quickly. I saw an interview with Stefan Sam, and he said now when he is riding behind them that he was afraid that he's going to lose his technical ability to actually follow the riders, because he's not a professional any longer, so he doesn't practice that. So it is something that you lose very quickly, so you can't just think that you do it once or like for a few months and then you can leave it for the rest of your cycling career. It's something that you have to work on constantly and keep up to date, up to speed sort of, and you can make up a lot of time if you can ride technically well.
And there are hundreds and thousands of amateurs out there who want to ride this event in the future, and you cannot get better advice. Yes, you'll do the kilometers, you'll do the hours, you'll do the 20 hours a week. That is almost the easy side of it in many ways.
Definitely.
It's focusing on those 20 hours, put 2 hours a week into technical skills and technical prep.
Yeah, you can almost take away a few of the longer hours on the bike and then go out and do some technical training instead to save time, especially the people that wants to do this and have a full-time job, then spend a little bit less time but get more out of it.
Courtney on the front now as they head up one of these vineyard climbs once more, and the youngsters out to cheer them along. It's fantastic to see. And there's a very slight drizzle here at the finish. The temperature has dropped appreciably. Couldn't ask for better conditions, I would think, for these riders. Really, really good conditions.
Yeah, they will really enjoy this cooler weather after yesterday's heat for the time trial. And we obviously need the water here in the Western Cape, so I think it can rain a little bit more.
Absolutely, we wouldn't mind a lot more rain. I know around South Africa anyway, the rains have been almost devastating up in the northern part of the country. So we are cognizant of that, and it's too much in one part of the country and not enough in another. Rock solid, steady riding from Anneke Langval and Kate Courtney, and some pretty decent flying from our pilot Ploffy there on the right hand side, so close to the riders, but he does manage to keep out of the wash, or the wash keeps out of the riders mostly, so they are free to fly. And there's our e-bike just drifting up behind. Glance over her shoulder from Anneke, and again we go back to that, how close are they, where are they? Well, they're a long way back, but they're not necessarily to know that at this stage.
No, when you're riding like this, normally you don't have a clue about what's happening behind you, and they could just be right behind you without, they can come as a surprise. So you just don't know. We know, but they don't know.
Yeah. The prettiest bike on the race, that's for sure. Kate Courtney's got a great paint job on her bike, as we're with Thomas Dietsch now. Great images.
She's got a bit matching things there. Her boas on her shoes, so the same color as her bike, and I think I saw on her bike computer also that it's also pink at the front there.
And I think she's been wearing pink mitts as well, the gloves, so very, very well matched. Of course, Anneke and Jaro's bikes will be auctioned off. Raise funds for the Songo.info program. Beautiful trails alongside the road here, and they are closing in on the finish here at Wellington and Nieuwegein, between 3 and 4 kilometers, and they'll be back at the finish. Brilliant job. Wow, they have been absolutely supreme. Great athlete examples, have not let up. I'm not going to give anything away. No free gifts here at the Absa Cape Epic. If you want to win a stage, you've got to beat the best riders at it, and that's what we see here. Anneke just letting Kate sit on the front here, taking it home. She's setting the pace here now, just happy to follow Kate Courtney's wheel.
Yeah, I think Annika has done enough work this week to let Kate do a little bit, and they're not under pressure, so she can do that.
This is our second group, Robin de Groot and Sabine Spitz, second on the road, in the stage, and in all likelihood, obviously there's time to go still in the stage, but second on GC as well after today's stage, due to the struggling Mariska Strauss illness. Seems to have played a big role in her battling today with it. Let's hope she does get through the day. So close to the finish.
Sabine and Robin has also come stronger as the days has gone by, so they're going to be well worth a second place as well.
You rode a lot with Robin as well. I mean, again, communication, just the sixth sense, knowing how each other's feeling. I mean, is there, when you do communicate, is some of it, are there questions, or you're in here together, just let's get through this, unless you really are feeling bad?
Yeah, I think the same with Robin. I think in general I don't talk much on my bike, and Robin is the same. So we also didn't really talk much. We just understood what was going on. But obviously, if you do feel really bad, you must just say to the other person to slow down a little bit, and so. But other than that, it's like I said before. You both know what you're in to do, and everyone at the front here wants to win the stage or the race, and it's not really anything to sort of discuss. So. Yeah, you don't really need to talk that much.
Yep.
You just learn how to read each other's body language.
Look what happens when Annika gets on the front here. She just puts down the watts and they surge on. This is the third place team. Now in third place, Gulau and Marchetti. Very young, talented rider is Marchetti. If Bart Brenchen spots you and thinks you are worth signing up, then you know you are going to be on for something good. So he has picked up Marchetti, and they're in the third place at the moment. Margot Marchetti, the French rider, and Raisa Gulau. PMRA and CST Racing, and they're both doing their first Absa Cape Epics.
They can be a team to watch in the future. They probably here for experience this year, and then they can come back next year and do something good.
Absolutely. There's a good. Not that a scouting mission doesn't mean that you cannot win the race, but certainly they're going to look like they're going to finish on the podium, which is a great performance by them. Back with our leaders, heavy clouds precluding us from seeing the top of the Havaka Mountains at the moment, but that's not an issue at all. What matters most is that it's nice and cool for this, for the race and for the riders today. Annika, so strong and powerful, upper body strength, rock solid on the bike.
Yeah, she's got a great style on the bike. It looks amazing to watch her riding. She's a great bike rider.
Lots to learn from these riders, isn't there?
Definitely. She's not wasting any energy on rocking her upper body. So, yeah, she's saving everything she can.
Goes back to preparation for the event. It's not just sitting on the bike and pedaling away. It's also perhaps do you do gym work? Do you do any of that?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's quite important, and especially the core and upper body also, it's something that a lot of cyclists forget about and don't think it's important, but it is. Just to be able to sit on the bike the way that Annika sits on it. I think it's a lot of gym upper body.
Candice Lill and Amy McDougall are in fourth place, and the best place of the African teams in the Absa Africa Jersey competition, a team that only got together 6 days before the event started, 7 days if you like. Candice lost Adelaide Morat due to an injury, and they were going to be riding for the GC, and Amy and her partner Bianca Hall were comprised as a partnership because Bianca picked up an injury the 2 days before the cross country World Cup in Stellenbosch, so both those riders out, and it allowed Amy and Candice to get together. It did free up an entry, because the entry Bianca Hall and Amy McDougall had was became free, and it was taken up by Bianca's father, Glenn Hoare, and Gary Green of Bergen Bush and Sani Ducey and JWC fame. And on the Thursday before the event, they were told, well, you're off to Cape Town to start the Absa Cape Epic, the two farmers. So off they came, and they're getting around the course in typically good spirits, which is great to see. That's our Exaro leaders. I think that's Lucky Flangeni, and just up ahead of Lucky is Tepo Tlo, Exaro PWC 1, leading the Exaro Academy category, and that's become more and more competitive as the years have gone on. And wonderful to see this year how a young man like Philemon Sabono, who won the Exaro category 3 times, has now graduated into being signed by South Africa's top mountain bike team, Paiga Eurosteel. And Philemon riding this event with Peter de Toy, 19-year-old Peter de Toy, in support of Julian Jessup and Matthijs Bierkes, which is a great opportunity for Peter de Toy, for Julian Jessup, 2 young men. Philemon a little bit older. He's done, I think, 7 or 8 Absa Cape Epics now. So great experience for these young men. There are our second placed women's team, Sabine and Robin, doing what they do best, just settling into the rhythm and securing their position, not taking any risks. Margot Moschetti did ride the World Cup before this event. Look at the speed with which these two are going, heading for home, get the sniff of the finish, and they're off.
Yeah, definitely. They're going to be so happy when they come to the finish today, and only knowing that they only have one more day to go, and they have a healthy lead. So tomorrow I think they can relax a little bit and just take it home. But as I said the other day also, it's still a stage, a proper race, so they have to get through it without mechanicals and falls and stuff. So, but they're going to feel comfortable.
The current World Cup leader after one round, Annika Langval, having won that first round of the World Cup, and her partner Kate Courtney from the United States is being talked about as one of the bright young stars of the future. She, with good reason as well, finished second of the World Championships in the cross country to Sina Frey, and was the winner of the World Cup overall in under 23 category last year. So some real talent there, and herein is some great talent as well. Robin de Groot, the marathon champion of South Africa multiple times, and with her the uber-decorated Sabine Spitz, who's won just about everything there is to win in the sport. Gold, silver and bronze at the Olympic Games. She's got the world champions bands on her arm, so she's done it pretty much all. Lucky and Sepo going well for the Exaro Academy. It's always, I suppose, for the men, they see the leading women come and say, well, let's hitch onto this train for a little bit. They'll stay with it for a little bit, and then this happens. Goodbye.
Yeah, in this case, I guess it's not many of the guys that can actually stay with Annika either. Sorry to say, but
no, that's what. Absolutely, she's incredibly powerful, and both of them are doing a great job. She's going so hot into that corner. She did very well. Just controlled the braking and moved onto the tar and back into that time trial mode. And there would be many coaches who would want to take a photograph of that and say, she's doing that on a mountain bike. If you can do that on your road bike, you'll be a better time trialist.
Yeah, definitely.
Just amazing position for this train. And you'll see the still body. Shoulders are rock solid, no movement there. Kate is a bit more bouncy on the bike. She's a younger rider. She's got lots of years to perfect it, but Annika, wow, quite amazing. Into the Susie Tuck down on the crown of the fork. You tried that?
No, not really. I like to have my hands on my handlebars.
Yeah.
But this is something that seems like everyone riding that bike brand, they do that.
They do. It was pioneered by the man who brought such high profile to that bike brand. Yes, here they go in towards the finish. There it is, Huguenot High and Primary. The primary school in the foreground here, the high school on the other side. Lovely to see the kids out here yesterday in between class, but today it's a day off for them, and hopefully a lot of them watching this and being inspired by this performance. Annika Langveld and Kate Courtney. And those of you who have been messaging us through the week about Annika's, the pronunciation of her name, that is how you pronounce it. I'm reliably told by the woman herself, Annika Langveld. So disregard how you see it spelled. Turning into the field, here we go. What another dominant ride by Annika and Kate. A little light fist pump. We're not over celebrating just yet. We've got work to do tomorrow, but today's job has been done to perfection by the Dane and the American. Courtney and Langveld take another stage win. That's 7 in a row for them. Another victory for Investec Songo Specialized. They put more minutes into their overall lead, and you just cannot ask for more from this pair. Completely dominant it has been. What a wonderful sight for them, and feeling no doubt as Robin and Sabine probably can't quite hear it yet, but they're getting close and will be in second place.
If Annika wins tomorrow, which we probably think she will, it's going to be absolutely amazing that she has then won 4 Cape Epics out of 4 starts. That's no one else has done that, so she's absolutely amazing.
The perfect record, absolutely. Now this is Moschetti and Gulau, and Margot Moschetti at 24 has already won the Brazil ride, and those of you who've been with us since we saw the men here.
Annika,
Here we go.
congratulations. It's getting very close to a clean sweep. Another great stage. You've got to be really happy.
Yeah, well, I'm actually counting the days down a little bit at the moment, making it through safely. Today was a nice, good day. You could pace at the front, do your own speed. A little harder than the first one, I must say. I was like, ooh, it's going to be long, but then we still nice. Once we hit all single track, so much today was. I feel like we opened the gap even in the single. Steady counting down the finish line. Happy about another stage.
Well, unfortunately, we're not able to get a clear communication there with Annika. As soon as we do, we will return to hear from the riders and get some information about how they have progressed. So this is Moschetti on the back and Gulau. Yes, Moschetti on the back of this group, and Raisa Gulau on the front. And they are in third place, and it's their best day so far. It's an attritional race, and that's the nature of the sport, as we've been saying for a long while. Anything can happen, and it does happen, as we've seen throughout not just this race, but leading into it. And you take your opportunities when they present themselves.
Yeah, definitely. As we said, it's part of the game. So these girls are going to be very happy with a third spot today. Getting onto that podium is it's a special feeling to step up onto it.
Right, let's see if we can pop back to the presentation area here from...
Yeah, I haven't thought too much about making a clean sweep. Actually, I take it very much in small pieces, so I take it day by day, like small piece at a time, and yeah, then in the end they will make a big picture, and let's see what picture that will be.
Thanks, and well done again.
Thank you.
Well, just a short comment there about putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Each day is one piece of that puzzle, and at the end of it, the picture will look beautiful.
Yeah, and like Annika said there, you have to take it day by day. Once again, anything can happen in this sport, so she can't believe today that she will win the race or that they will win the race, because it's actually not over yet. So she's doing it the right way mentally as well. She's obviously not just physically strong, she's mentally strong as well.
Robin de Groot and Sabine Spitz make the last turn on the road before turning into the finish here in second place. Team Ascendus Health, well, they'll be delighted. Their sponsors, Boss Carsten Vellner, arrived from overseas yesterday, and he'll be delighted to see them come in second place today. and put themselves in second place on GC. They have been getting stronger all week. They had a really good time trial yesterday. They led halfway through it. They had the fastest times. And it was only in the second half that Kate Courtney and Annika Langveld managed to put just 12.5 seconds into this pair. So that gives you an idea of how well they rode that time trial, which would have given them a lot of confidence, because there was a lot of technical stuff in that time trial, and they managed to deal with it very, very impressively.
And here obviously experience comes in. They've done a lot of racing together, and they've both done a lot of long stage races, and it is something special to do though. So yeah, they're going to get the advantage of having the experience from this and getting onto that second place.
Yeah, and Robin's had a really difficult last, to be honest, probably year and a half, and this will be great. There's Robin de Groot on the left, and Sabine Spitz in second place in the women's category on stage number 6. Well ridden by Team Ascendus Health, and they will be pleased with their job today as they get stronger and stronger. Some riders do, and I say stronger and stronger, it's all relative, because your body naturally will start getting a bit weaker in the efforts as they go past Andrew McLean and Joel Stransky there in the Cycle Lab KTM colours. Third in the Grand Masters category. This is Moschetti and Goulart probably having a nice little dash at it here, because this is Goulart in the Brazilian champions colours on the front there. They will be so pleased with the way they finished things off here, to be in third place on the stage.
It's also great to see a bit of different teams on the podium. The men's race has been so exciting, so many teams that different winners on a few different stages and different people on the podium. So it's good to see that the ladies also, the race gets more exciting, and I really hope for next year that it's going to be more teams and we can have a close race the same way as the men has. I think it was going to be like that if all the teams had stayed the way they were supposed to before the start.
You've got a few pretty handy road racers in Sweden who've recently retired.
Yeah, maybe I can convince them to come and ride this. We have some retired mountain bikers that we can also get here, I think.
Here we go. This is Reise Glau and Marga Moschetti, the French-Brazilian combination, who are going to come home and take third place in the women's race. Congratulations, well ridden.
Yeah, you see how happy they are.
Yeah,
very
absolutely
happy.
Delighted. They will take that any day of the week. Brilliant ride by them. They're on the podium, and there's great value in that for them as individuals, and indeed for them as for the sponsors. Let's pop down and hear from Robin de Groot and Sabine Spitz.
Another podium for you guys. It's getting better and better. You've got to be happy.
For me, it was today a very tough day after the time trial yesterday, and yeah, she was very strong riding today. She pulled me, and so it was a bit of battle with the second team, or the team who came in third, with Reise and with Marjot, and so we also ride very strong, and but also in a way keeps us pushing, and I hope we get a lot of minutes for the GC. So this is actually the main goal, that we can make the second position in the GC.
Robin, from your side, obviously tomorrow is a big stage. I mean, the Investex Ongo Specialized are going to target a clean sweep. It's important for you guys. I think Mariska was battling today with a tummy bug, so she's had a bad day, but it's important for you guys, I'm sure, to say, well, we've been getting stronger every day. Let's go for a stage win tomorrow.
Yeah, it would be fantastic if we can do that, for sure. Annika and Kate have been riding superbly, and hats off to them. But yeah, a stage win would be fantastic, and what a way to finish at Valdeby like last year. So it's something that we won't give up hopes on.
Nice one, well done.
Cool, thank you. Thank you.
4 stage wins a year ago, Sabine and Robin, and they'll be looking for a first stage win of this race tomorrow as they're going towards Val de Vie. Tomorrow it is, the finish tomorrow is at Val de Vie, not far from us here in Wellington. A beautiful spot to finish the race, but not a gimme by any stretch of the imagination. There's some nice sandy sections. Do you remember those from last year going into the finish?
Yeah, definitely. It was very tough last year. We actually lost the bunch once in those sandy patches, and it was very hard to chase back. And and you're also so tired on the last day, and mentally you're almost thinking that it's over, but it's definitely not. So they still have to work hard.
So here are our third place team. Let's hear from them.
Congratulations, a podium for you on the penultimate stage. You've got to be very happy with the result.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, and I'm so happy to ride together with Sabine Spint and the other so huge names. And today, feeling better. I had 2 days bad, sick, so it's good reborn in the race and enjoy the single tracks. For us was really amazing.
I know your partner's English isn't very good, so you asked if we could keep talking to you. Looking at tomorrow, the final stage, so you also were affected by the tummy bug, but you're feeling stronger today. What's your plan for tomorrow? Maybe get another podium?
Yeah, today the strategy was try taking some time, because we are in 6th in general. We want to fight for top 4. So tomorrow keep stronger for maybe finishing top 4. But it's really nice. I think now starts the good race because we have more single track. The first day was too much power and less single track, so now we have more fun.
Congratulations, well done. I hope you have a good day tomorrow.
Thank you.
Raisa Gulau from Brazil and Maho Machetti from France. She rode the World Cup in Stellenbosch not too long ago. And another of our teams comes charging across the line. And these are guys and girls who are finishing really well. And this race, yes, we focus on the sharp end here, but there are hundreds, nearly thousands out there who are going to spend a lot longer, some of them double the time of the winning time here today in order to complete this Absa Cape Epic. And there's such a premium behind completing it. There's a great pride and justifiably great sense of satisfaction in completing the Absa Cape Epic. Can you remember your very first Absa Cape Epic?
Yes, I can. I was actually at the very first Epic, but I was working there as a volunteer, and in 2004. It was very different to this. It was Kevin and one other girl organizing it, and we were 20 volunteers. That was it, and 550 riders. So that was. It's been amazing to see how it has changed till what it is today.
Have you been at every one since then?
No. And then 2005 I actually rode. I started,
yes.
But then I got sick and had to stop after 3 days.
Oh.
But then I turned to the road.
Yes, that's it.
So then I didn't participate or work at any of them up until 2013. Then I was back and I raced in the mixed category with my boyfriend. But then he got sick. And I actually said that I was going to carry on and finish it because I would never ever come back to this because I did not like it. It was way too hard for me. And then the following year I was racing in the ladies and finished 3rd that year with Teresa Rolfe.
Craig still racing?
Yes, he is.
Good news. Craig's still out there and going to finish this race tomorrow, that's for sure.
Well,
let's hear from our e-bike men.
Former winner of the Absa Cape Epic. Stefan, it's got to be the best seat in the house to watch the action from where you are.
This is actually correct. I mean, it doesn't get better. You can't get closer to the action. And it's really, for me, it's a privilege to see these guys racing. And I've been through a lot of epics. I've been through good ones and bad ones. And it's just incredible, the power output their guys deliver now. It's really fascinating racing.
Thomas, we can go to you. Your day today looked like a little drier, a little cooler conditions. The rain obviously not enough to help the riders, but tell us about the morning.
Yeah, look, this is the morning. It was really dusty, but really enjoyable stage also again today. Same feeling as Stefan. I think it's a privilege to race with the e-bike here, to ride with the e-bike here. And yes, the race was tough for sure, like every day. And we are in front of the screen. I mean, we are watching the rider fighting, and it's unbelievable how the race is fast. And for the men and elite, for the women, it's really tough. Even for us with the e-bike, it's tough. Then you can't believe how it's hard for normal rider.
Stefan, if we can get back to you, I mean, you must have seen a lot in your years riding the e-bikes and filming. Are there any moments that stand out in your mind as being either very scary or very funny or very special?
Yeah, there is some sketchy moments, especially in the dust when you follow a big group of riders and it's like almost flying blind, and you just have to trust the guy in front of you that he doesn't hit something. And other than that, our machines they work so well. We have big brakes and stuff, so there was never really a sketchy moment.
Guys, congratulations, good job out there. Thanks for bringing in the amazing footage.
Yeah, thanks, eh? Cheers.
It's great to have the innovation of bringing guys like Stefan, a 3-time winner here. Of course, Thomas finished the 6 times, riding in for support of Carl Platt and Stefan Sam in 3 of their victories over the years. So they know their way around the Absa Cape Epic. They know their way around the trails, and those are 25-kilogram e-bikes. They throw them around there beautifully. It does add a new element, doesn't it? This is another replay of this completion of another dominant ride.
Yeah, it's very nice that they have done this thing with the e-bike so we can follow the riders up close, so that we can see how well these two are riding.
Look at them celebrating as they come across the line. 6 stages they've won. There's 7 stages, beg your pardon, and they still as excited as they won the first. And this is second place, Sabine Spitz and Robin de Groot taking second place on the stage, and second place on GC. Reiser Gelau and Macho Machete on the front there. Gelau driving for the finish, and they will take the third place on the stage and step into third place as well on general classification. Anything on the podium you'll take. And we were just going back to talking about Jenny riding, and then at one stage saying she'll never ride it again. So you've done the whole gambit of emotions of this event. You've rented the mixed, you've not finished it for the illness, your partner's not finished, and here you are. Yeah, here's Frischi. This is one of the great legends of the sport, a world champion. Let's hear from Thomas Frischneck.
Thomas Frischneck, the co-founder of the Perscanal Swiss Epic. Thomas, firstly, just tell us briefly about how the Swiss Epic came about.
Well, I participated quite a few times at the Cape Epic, and I'm good friends with Kevin Remarque, and he came once up to me and asked, why can't we have such an event also in the Swiss Alps? And I was very keen about this idea, and a couple of years later it came through. And it's kind of like very similar than the Cape Epic, you know, it's kind of the same ambience and the same philosophy behind the event. And I would say when I compare the Swiss Epic with the Cape Epic, it's in a way more technical, more single trails and longer climbs. But if you ask me right now, in the middle of the Cape Epic, I think the Cape Epic is harder.
Thank you very much.
Thomas Frischneck telling us that he thinks the Cape Epic is harder than the Swiss Epic. You've ridden it.
Yeah, I did it last year.
And?
It's very different.
You won it last year.
Yes, together with Esther.
Yes, with Esther. Sorry, apologies. Yes.
Yeah, different. Like he said, it's more technical. It's longer climbs, longer descents. The descents are very steep. Esther said to me before that I can't come there without a dropper seat post, and that was true. I got one. I could not have gotten down those descents without that. So it's very different. But in toughness, it's difficult to say which one is the toughest, just because they are so different. So, but yeah, tough. There's no 6-day or 7-8 day stage race that is easy.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. Is the Thomas Frischneck was telling the same philosophy? Is the race village a similar thing, or is it quite different?
Well, it's obviously very different in the sense of that one morning we had -2 degrees, and here we can have 40 degrees plus. Yeah. So yeah, very cold. You don't sleep in tents, obviously, so you have to be in hotels, which I prefer. Yes. But yeah, I think that is the one stage got changed also because there was too much snow by the start, so we couldn't ride there. So obviously different in that sense. But I mean, the whole thing that it's a stage race and it is the venue, and yeah, the atmosphere is pretty much the same, just in different scenery.
Illustrate for us, those of us who haven't ridden in those parts of the world, the climbs, because everyone talks about the climbing in Europe, and particularly Switzerland and Austria and the like. How long are you spending on a climb there, on those big climbs?
Well, we also did the Transalps,
Yes.
and they said to me it was a start climb, and here we can have, I don't know, a few kilometers, so like maybe up to 45 minutes climbing. And I actually looked at my watch when we got to the very top, and we had been climbing for 2 hours and 7 minutes. And then I was not so happy. And then they said it's going to be easier from here. So the second day it was only 1 hour 45 to the top. So yeah, it's different.
But different climbs as well, probably. The surface, and therein lies the whole difference, isn't it? The terrain.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you do a lot of climbing on gravel roads, like quite nice gravel roads, not as rocky as we have here. So yeah, definitely different terrain. And then also at Transalps, quite a lot of the descents were actually on tar. But then at Swiss Epic, it's super technical on downhills.
Well, that's what makes this wonderful world of stage racing so fascinating, because there are so many options all over the world, and you could take a pick and go and ride something very different. There's the Pioneer in New Zealand, and Dave Beachy from the Pioneers riding this event. It's another Epic Series event, one that you might want to look at some stage.
Yeah, I just thought it's going to be in the right time for me this year.
To come back.
Yeah, exactly, because normally in November I'm quite tired, I'm taking time off. But I'm going to have enough time off now, so I don't think I'm going to need that break then. So yeah, I've been looking at it, so maybe I'll go and do that this year.
Lovely news, yeah. Esther, I mean, it's a long way away. I mean, Esther's got a program as well on her own.
Yeah, it's too early to look at partner now, and I don't think now is the right time to go and ask someone. So let them finish this first, and then we can talk.
Sadly, there will be quite a few riders who will have enjoyed a fairly long rest due to injury and illness. That's the nature of the sport. But the beauty of it is that, like Jenny, will come back nice and strong and keen and energized to take on the challenge once again. And that's what it's all about. Human endeavor, and the human spirit rises again and says, come on, I want to get on my bike and take on the challenges once again. What about the challenge for tomorrow's stage, as we leave Wellington for the last time, and it's to the beautiful Val de Vie estate. Now, we're starting at Huguenot schools there, up, and you're going up into the mountains, and a little more up into the mountains tomorrow. Gets a bit more forgiving, but the closer you are to the mountains, inevitably, when they go down, they'll go up again.
Yeah, as we always say, what goes up must come down. So yeah, it's going to be a few really tough climbs, and especially there towards the end, they're going to be very, very tired legs.
Yeah, that descent down the Land Rover Technical Terrain, I think that's been done before as well, when the race finished in Boschendal a few years ago. So riders will be familiar with that. And as you heard Christoph Sauser say, if they've got that sandy section towards the end there, and it's close, then there might be a race for a podium place there. That could trip a rider or two up. So a lot of farm road, quite a lot of single track towards the end there, and up into the mountains above Wellington near the Hawaii Mountains. There's not much. There are not many free kilometers up there. Well, there are, because you have to go down, as Jenny said. What goes up must come down. But it's going to be another tough day. No such thing as an easy day at the Absa Cape Epic. So we're saying tough day, but it'll be a day of celebration, of conquering, of getting to the finish, and that's surely starting the last day. You've spoken earlier this week about how nervous you were before the last day last year when you had the lead and so on, but generally when you're riding into the finish on the last day, celebration, sense of relief.
Yeah, definitely. Last year when we had 5Ks to go, when I saw that sign, that was when we started to celebrate and really realizing that we were going to win this race. So, and then the last kilometers we were just laughing basically, and we basically stopped riding and just celebrated. It was absolutely an amazing feeling.
That's wonderful to hear, and we've had Ariane in here during the week on and off as well, which has been great. And talking about how the Absa Cape Epic basically was the the match that lit the fire of her career as a mountain biker and her professional career as a mountain biker. And I'm sure in many ways it's been similar for you.
Yeah, I think actually one of the guys that I worked with that first year in 2004, I met him at the World Cup a week before the Epic, and he said to me, he reminded me, I actually forgot, but I had said to him then in 2004 that one day I want to come and win this. And I mean, at that time I wasn't even I almost want to say I wasn't even a cyclist.
Yeah.
I had just started cycling. So, but yeah, apparently I had said that then. So it is, the Cape Epic has been big for me, and it's meant quite a lot for me. So yeah, it's a stepping stone.
Listen, if you are coming around to the race village at any stage, pop into the Mirandal CBC camp, because it's one of the few race team Mechanic Areas team camps that's got its own beer on tap.
Yeah, they put up a bar there, so yeah, everyone can go there and have a taste of it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Wonderful support for the event, and what this event has done for the world of mountain biking is incalculable. It really has transformed the sport in this country, taken it to a new level, not only here, of course globally, as more of our wonderful teams come rolling into the finish. One more day done, smiles all around, celebration. One more tick, big tick for finishing this stage in Wellington. Riding in the grass is never as easy as it looks. It sort of sucks your tires, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's very hard on your legs to do that, so.
Right, here we go, the podium presentation of the flowers for our women after stage number 6 of the Absa Cape Epic.
UCI women's team. To do the presentations, please welcome Mr. Bobby Manabi, Group Executive Marketing and Corporate Relations, Absa. In third position, the team of PMRA CST Racing, Margot Moschetti and Raiza Gulwao.
There we go, Raiza Gulwao and Margot Moschetti. They couldn't believe that they were riding alongside legends like Sabine and Annika and the like. And here they're on the podium. It's fantastic. Well done, PMRA CST Cycling. And this is an example of two riders from different trade teams amalgamating to race here. Likewise here, Sabine Spitz and Robin de Groot in second today for Sabine and Robin.
Ladies and gentlemen, your winners of the penultimate stage of the 2018 Absa Cape Epic. Investing Songo Specialized, Annika Langval and Kate Courtney.
Well, they've stepped up onto that highest rostrum every day at the Absa Cape Epic this week, and who's to say they won't do so tomorrow? They certainly will do so if they stay safe and sound in the GC, but really utterly dominant performance by Annika Langval and Kate Courtney. Lots of flowers for them this week.
Yeah, wonder what they've done with all the flowers.
There's a lot of florists. They've got so many lovely indigenous flowers given to the riders. So stage win for Annika and for Kate, and of course they are in now. And dare I say it, and you can't actually say it because this is not like any of the other sort of ball sports, if you like, where you've sort of 40 points clear, no one's going to catch you. In this sport, there are all sorts of things that can catch you on the last day. So they lead by 46 minutes and 49 seconds from Robin de Groot and Sabine Spitz, and Annie Last and Mariska Strauss are now 6 minutes behind, just under 6 minutes behind Robin and Mariska and Sabine. Very bad luck for Mariska Strauss this morning, not feeling well at all. But in orange, once more, Investec Songo Specialized wearing that orange zebra striped jersey as women's leaders. Comprehensively the best team in this race. regardless really of what happens tomorrow, they've been utterly dominant. Beautiful to see.
Yeah, I mean, they only gonna, if I say lose this, if it is a crash or mechanical or something, so they've really showed that they are definitely the strongest team.
They have 46 minutes in hand over the second place team, Sabine Spitz, and her partner Robin de Groot. Well, thanks very much, Jenny, for coming through.
Thank you so much for having me.
And keep the exercises, keep the recovery going strong. We look forward to seeing you maybe tomorrow, but certainly on the bike as soon as we possibly can.
Thank you so much.
Although not rushing it.
No, definitely not.
Patience needed.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. It is going to be another glorious day tomorrow. We'll be bringing you our live streaming. We're also live on Supersport, and we'll be covering every pedal stroke that we possibly can as the riders head from here in Wellington to the finish at Val de Vie, just outside Paarl. It's a beautiful estate. Great celebrations there. Join us for that, won't you, tomorrow morning as we bring you the final stage, the grand finale of the 2018 Absa Cape Epic. Until then, cheerio.